Welcome, everyone. Welcome. As Andrew said, today the title of the panel is AI, the new creative partner, question mark. Um, my name is Ariana Taveras. I'm the Associate Director over at the Martin Scorsese Center for Virtual Production, where I also teach the producing, internship, and research courses. And we'll go down the panel, let everyone say a few words about themselves. Rob?
Hi, I'm Robert Wald. I run Gold Leader AI. It's a video studio, part of MCM Creative Studios in New York, and we produce AI videos and hybrid productions.
Hello, Son. My name is Leilanni Todd. I'm a former fashion designer and creative director. For the past 2 decades, I've worked across fashion, advertising, new media. I also teach generative AI for virtual production at the Martin Scorsese Center. In the last 3 years, I've been working under the moniker called Floamworld, which is basically where all my AI experiments, short films, it's like a cinematic universe of everything I've ever wanted to do with AI and that the tools have allowed me to do.
And I'm Philip Shane, a documentary filmmaker, and worked in a wide range of places, from places like Maisels Films, kind of a historic documentary house, to ABC News and History Channel, and lots of independent docs. I also really enjoy technology, and so when AI came out, I started, and I've taught editing and filmmaking and writing for many, many years. So AI came out, I jumped right in and I started teaching that too. So I've been doing a lot of classes. I have classes available on AI, and I run a weekly user group, in a way you could call it, called AI Cafe. We have over 100 people now, filmmakers, coming up and meeting on Zoom on Monday nights and just talking about AI.
Nice. Thanks so much, everyone. So today we're going to talk about AI as a creative partner. I know there's a lot of questions around AI and ethics and the planet and jobs. We're talking about that stuff all the time, so I'm really grateful to have this moment to hone in a little bit on what does it mean for the creative community, right? What does it mean for filmmakers and artists? So the first question, what are the best uses for AI in the developing stages of a creative project? So a film, TV show, painting. what are the best uses? Where do the tools fit in?
Well, AI kind of fits into almost, in various ways, AI fits into every step of the creative process and the production process these days, and it's just growing as what its applications are. So in the early stages, you might use AI to help you write. Now, I wouldn't recommend using AI just to write, although some people do, but as an assistant, as something to bounce your ideas off of and brainstorm, it's great. Take it and then use it yourself or use it with other people. It gives you a lot of ways of producing good content just by being inspired by it. But that's, then at every step, from storyboarding to visualization, to set design, to, producing a trailer well before you've shot any film. It's both supports AI video as well as regular traditional production methods where, like I said, at every step you have some AI enhancements of what you can do in that part of the creative process. So, going forward, how it affects visual effects, how it affects your planning for visual effects, basically the entire chain.
I agree. I think for sure, especially in the upfront planning stages, I think you can do even the tiniest things like costume design, set design, like what pieces do you want to populate your set or your scene. There's so many ways that you can incorporate AI that it doesn't have to actually be the finished piece. The output doesn't have to even have any AI in it if you don't want it to be. It's great for ideation, and it's also great for all of the things that he mentioned, but also in terms of understanding what doesn't work. So it's a great way to just really fast track a lot of time, expenses, resources in determining what you actually don't want to shoot or plan for. So I think there's so many great use cases for it.
Yeah, and another use, especially because I'm often doing documentaries and often feature-length documentaries, so I need a lot of information. If I'm starting a new story, I need to know a lot about the subject, and I'm often recommending that you can use any of the large language models like ChatGPT, et cetera, to do research, but very much put it in, there's a mode called deep research. Put it in that mode, you'll get fact-based results much better than you'll get without that. But given that, it can do an extraordinary work. Like, I can ask it a question, and it can take up to 30 minutes researching hundreds and hundreds of websites and pulling in all kinds of information and delivering a report to me that is fully footnoted and cited, and I can check all the links and make sure everything is okay. That's really great. And then, I can then begin to use it for ideation, as they were talking about. Now that, in fact, it knows an enormous amount about the subject as well, we can work together to begin to maybe map out an outline for the story.
And I've seen some people, when you're really getting deep into a subject like that, just to enhance on that, they do a number of research projects and bring it all into a ChatGPT project or a Google Gem. And now you have like a complete representation of the background of the scene that you want to shoot. So the one I'm thinking of in particular, they wanted to take place in a particular Roman town. So they collected all the information possible about this Roman town, the way people dressed, what people did, what it looked like on the street. And then you can draw on that information to create your scenes later on, either for AI or even for regular set design, because you now have all this information and can query it and come up with your context. So it makes that a lot easier as well.
Thank you. And so something that I'm hearing too is that there are distinct advantages, especially when you have a smaller crew, right? Or if you're a party of one starting, ideating something, and you're like, I don't know if I'm going to make this documentary yet. I don't know if I'm going to build this environment yet. Let me, play in my personal laboratory before I hire 20 people to find out, if spending $5 million is worth it. Let me spend 100,000, right? But instead of doing that, you get to be in a lab. You get to Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah.
You want?
That would be a great prompt, actually. You want
Also, maybe you're not even spending 100,000. You're only spending the $100, $200 subscription for the month to just play around and see. Like, you can really save a lot, especially if you're a student or emerging artist, or you're a party of one. It's huge savings for sure.
Yeah, it opens it up to so many people and independents to be able to jump in here and realize your ideas for not a lot of money. And how far could you get before that? Even with full storyboarding, you get fairly far with what you can do, in your home office alone, and then bring it to other people to actually create the production if you like it.
Yeah, and you're developing a clarity of vision, right? Yeah, you're honing in on what the thing is before you bring it to everybody, right?
Yeah, like your proof of concept is great to sell. Even if you're trying to pitch your story, a lot of people are such visual learners or visual people that they need to see kind of how the story plays out. And this is like a great way to show, like your previous or proof of concept or your idea, and help pitch your story to other people to get them involved and, fund your project. So, yeah.
And speaking of the negative, turning away from a particular concept, as you talk about it with whatever AI that you're using, you might find that your original target is not the one you're going to wind up with, and it'll help you find a different target, which may be close by, but you might come up with something better because of the back and forth you can have with the AI.
Yeah, and the back and forth is the whole thing. I think it's important for people, if you haven't tried AI before, I think people have a lot of preconceptions about it. And maybe one thing I hope you've heard over and over and over again is that you see this, you think that, you learn that, you realize that. You're the one doing the important work. And it's just showing you examples. I try to think of it sometimes like, if you're going shopping for clothes and the salesperson is showing you lots of things and you kind of find your way towards the thing you ultimately want. And so I tell people, don't and I teach a lot of classes, and I notice right at the beginning of the classes, I see this shock among everyone who's never used AI before when they realize, oh, it's not that fast. It's not, I don't ask it for something and get it back, you know? And I say, that's not how it works. It's more like a dance. You know, you go with it over and over and over again. Explore. Yeah.
I see a lot of people who looked at Midjourney 2 years ago or ChatGPT 2 or 3 years ago, and they don't understand how much has changed in the quality of the interactions, both of visual and video design, as well as the interactions with the LLMs themselves, how much deeper they are and more useful they are these days. So they're shocked at what you can do these days.
Right, and what I'm hearing also is a reminder that it's a tool, right? It's a tool. You need the human element, you need the human judgment, you need the human decision making, especially in a creative field, right? Because we're talking about discernment and judgment and taste, and you know, whatever image, for example, like Leilanni was saying, that you're getting out of your input, like there's gonna be 20, 30, 40, maybe really bad ones, right? That the machine puts out. And so it's up to you to decide what's the thing that you're going to hone in on and that you're going to share with, for example, a producer who, okay, they like the story, but they can't see how it's going to happen. They can't visualize it. And you're like, well, here's a couple of images, right? And once they're on board and there's some funding, you're like, all right, let's hire a storyboard artist. Let's hire somebody to do this previs for real. Yeah.
I think it's even surprising sometimes for I don't know if you guys did this, but I had this attitude that like, well, I don't need these things. I don't need to pre-visualize some scene, you know? And then you do it for the heck of it, and you realize, oh, actually, wow. Or that's not at all what I was thinking, but you might try other things. But I think being able to see, because that's not something we ever had before, the ability to instantly see something, you know, and then you can have conversations with people. So even on a team, it creates this ability to have something to talk around that in the past would have taken an enormous amount of time and money, and you may not even then have done it. So you just depend on your pitch, you know, and that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, in the past, you may not even have done it, right?
That's right.
Yeah, the democratization of the arts in a way, the possibility, I don't have these skills, and that doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, the bar is lowered, but it just means that somebody else with really great ideas who maybe can't put a pen to paper, now they can start ideating, okay, what does this look like? Oh my gosh, this is really close, right? And now I can work in partnership with somebody to make it, you know, to get it there.
I'm seeing a lot in the more AI artist spaces. Lots of emerging talent come out. Some of these people are by day like accountants or stay-at-home moms, or you know, just people that never had the opportunity to be introduced to filmmaking or storytelling or even the arts. Really having a go at these tools and having a lot of fun and actually being very successful and having their work resonate with a lot of individuals. So it really is like a democratizing tool in the sense that, you know, the barrier to entry is very low. You obviously need some skill and some sort of taste and, you know, a vision and a point of view, but the barrier to entry is low in that, like, you could really just start using the tools and figure out some semblance of a story and create something for yourself. So I think that's really great about the tools, is that those traditional pipelines that you would even have to go to make a traditional film, they're kind of, yeah, it's just not so restrictive anymore.
Yeah, and what you find is a lot of people discover that they have this talent inside themselves that they didn't realize before, and they can easily develop the skill, but they may never have realized it without these tools being available.
Yeah, and it's really exciting to know that, you know, if you get your library card, probably go to the library and log into a computer and start experimenting with something you wouldn't have thought you have access to, but you do. There's a lot of free tools out there. Great. So speaking of the low barrier to entry, right, can we talk a little bit about how much work is it really for a creative person to start integrating AI into their workflow. So I know, as filmmakers, we all know that filmmaking is non-linear. As much as you wish there was step 1, step 2, step 3, sometimes the steps happen in that order, and sometimes they happen all at the same time. So what does it mean to bring that in to your workflow? Let's say we're past ideation, we're past, okay, I have this idea in front of somebody, and we're gonna make it. Now what?
Well, the interesting thing is I think it's easy to jump right in. That's one thing we were saying before about the democratization. So it's easy to jump right in. The real challenge right now is, and I know this is actually something that Rob is sort of trying to push the limits of with his company, that getting it to the professional level. So, truly professional level of filmmaking requires an ability to control every single thing. And we're getting there, we're getting there. But sort of that in-between space, I feel like the sweet spot, this is one reason why I think ideation is so powerful and so obviously useful, right? Because it's done. There's a middle stage where making a pitch deck, making social media, making a previs, as we might call it, or low resolution versions of something you're imagining is good. Getting up to the truly final level of really tweaking it, I think that's always going to stay complicated, and that's always going to be the room for people who have the time and the budget, to really pursue that sort of stuff. But I think that keeps getting pushed further and further down the line.
I do want to counter that a little bit.
All right.
Well, I do think the fidelity of the tools is exponentially increasing. So you will, at some point, we will get fidelity that is hard to differentiate from probably live action at some point. I don't think it's there yet. But there is this very interesting thing which is happening in the more artistic fields where people are embracing the sixth finger and like the weird glitches and the strangeness that happens. They're called hallucinations in AI, where that becomes part of the storytelling and they really lean into that. And that's really interesting because I think there is a world where we want it to be very filmic and what we know, traditional film, but there's also a world where like it could be this whole new visual language that we just haven't really discovered yet and hasn't become its own like formal medium in the sense. But it is interesting because I do see a lot of work that leans more into that and really like plays up the glitches, and it's still very cool. It still tell a story. There is, a lot of morphing and weirdness, but it's kind of very interesting. And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I think that one thing, so what you are going to find going to the future is that there are a lot of alternative ways of expression and building a movie and building any kind of presentation. What AI allows is that you can start thinking outside of the traditional ways that things not only have been done, but the way that things have been delivered. So, when we're talking about, that's a new subgenre that people may be interested in. There's going to be a whole lot of those, both in terms of the content, which can be, different or surreal or psychedelic, but people have always done things like that. But also in terms of the delivery and where you're actually going to go, not necessarily a movie, different ways of presenting things, not necessarily linearly either, and also very personalized and such. So, the level of personalization and even changing things at the last step of delivery. So let's say you have a movie, but you're selling your movie now so that the viewer can actually star in it. Or perhaps as a start, the viewer's children can actually star in this and they can substitute themselves, and then they're watching themselves. So different workflows become available in different delivery mechanisms. The workflows themselves, I think to answer your question, when you first start actually doing this, you start banging your head against the wall quite a bit. If you want the AI to do what's in your head, it's going to resist you. Sometimes it's like trying to program cats, but sometimes what it comes back is going to be interesting and better. And sometimes you're just going to be frustrated and you're going to do 100 generations and not get what you want. These days, and every week, my workflow changes. Well, every 2 weeks, let's say. New technology comes out, not just in terms of the fidelity of the generations, but in terms of the way that you can develop your stories and develop your whole process. You get more power over the entire process, every couple of weeks. So Sora just came out when we were talking about that before. Sora has a lot of features that make it a lot easier to control the process itself of actually getting to the product that you want. It's kind of a milestone as far as what you can produce that way. You go back in time, and just a month ago, it was not nearly as easy to construct a story or or have an agent help you with your story. So there's so many possibilities, especially with all the agents that are coming out, that enhance the workflow, and it's always changing.
Excellent, thank you. I've also seen, I work at a very techie master's program, and one of our professors the other day, he's an animator by trade, and shout out David Pointer, incredible professor. But he doodled a Frankenstein and took a picture of it and put it into some software and was trying to show the students, they're trying to do a short 2-minute project that they're going to film on the virtual production stage, which is like in a giant LED volume. And he was like, well, if you can't, don't draw the storyboards, like draw the character, and let's put it in, it's a 9-month program, so everything's moving real fast. So let's draw the character, put it in the software, and let's see how it fits into the environment. And a lot of the students were like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like the AI tools that they were using was animating their Halloween characters that they were doing the exercise on, but it helped them see a possibility of a different workflow. They were like, okay, I'm one student. This is my one project. I'm not hiring, a team of storyboard artists right now, but I can see what my project will look like before my very valuable day on set, right?
Yeah, a year ago, the whole draw to video was kind of a joke. It was fun, but it didn't really do very much. Now, the algorithms and the agents that are available to take your little sketch and figure out what the context is and maybe suggest a story are all there and being developed now. So that has definitely expanded a lot.
Yeah, and I would just mention about Sora. Sora 2 just came out, and which is from OpenAI, the people who make ChatGPT. And it's got this social media component, so you can do it on your phone. Anyway, it's this funny little social media thing that's it's fun to play with, and frankly kind of addicting, as those damn social media things tend to be. But it actually has there's some a little secret sauce in it that is quite profound to me that I think heralds a rather dramatic improvement, for better or worse. When up till now, I've always been able to ask some AI, give me a picture, or even make a video of. There was this absurd thing I saw of an old lady on a porch with her cane, and an F-16 plane rolls up to the porch, and she hits it with her cane. Anyway, you could make that video. Sora, however, you ask it to do that, it creates this whole scene that may have a number of cuts in it, all kinds of different shots, all that look smooth and make sense, and it writes all this dialogue, which doesn't just make sense, but is also really funny and totally in character for that scene. And that's just like mind-blowing. Basically, so that, if you want to just see something really quick, out of your head, I give it a kernel of an idea, and it runs with it. When they stretch that up to 30 minutes, 90 minutes, I mean, it's going to be quite interesting to see what happens. So.
That will be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder where the audiences will, who will be the first person to sit and watch a 30-minute AI video? Maybe it's one of us up here. Yeah.
Well, the 20-minute ones, there's some good 20-minute ones out there right now. No more than 20 yet. The 60, there's a good 60, but it's mostly animation. But there's real storytelling in the 20-minute ones. It's just a lot of effort.
Yeah,
to
and those
get it all right.
How long? Those take months to make, right? 2 months.
He claimed it, and it didn't take. I forget who the author was. I'm thinking of Kira, a cloning story. Was really well done. He claimed it didn't take very long at all. I think a week or two.
Oh. Okay.
Just because of the nature of the thing.
And again, that being right, a lot more time and effort and human discernment and work, right? Not just a click of a button.
Yeah.
So why don't we talk a little bit about the future? We sort of are talking about the future. But right, AI as the new creative partner, right? This concept, this idea. How as a like community, right, of filmmakers, creators, how do we support each other, right? We're people working with AI tools. Some tools are free, some tools are not. So, the question of democratization, even over time, as people monetize, that'll be a different question in maybe a year or less, right, or more. So, how do we balance, right, that integration and that excitement with disruption, for lack of a better word?
It's very funny that you say that because I saw an article the other day about MTV shutting down 5 of their music channels, and I remember.
They did music?
Or so, yeah, exactly. And so I don't know if it's been like almost half a century they've been on the air. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But it's a long time. And I do remember one of the very earliest music videos was Video Killed the Radio Star. And it's so interesting because it feels like it's kind of happening now with that shift. But, radio has shifted into podcasts, and there's lots of jobs created from that, and people are doing really well with that. And even, music videos are now TikToks and social media and all of that, kind of shorter form entertainment. So I don't know where the future of AI in terms of filmmaking will go. To be honest, I don't have that answer, but I do think there's an opportunity for a new type of medium, whether it's visual, like when you think of how CG was just really kind of a supportive visual effects tool, and now there's a whole industry which is 3D animation and Pixar, Disney, all of that was born of that. So I think there's a world where AI may become its own visual medium, its own kind of art form, its own visual language with its own set of rules, and that could open up a whole new set of jobs for new types of people. While we're like getting there, I think there's ways you can incorporate the tools to help with filmmaking, to help with production pipelines, and I definitely would say to not be afraid of it, to like really learn about it as much as you can and to experiment with it, because that's where I think the people who are curious will really be able to run with the tools and become that part of the future of filmmaking.
Yeah, the tools are liberating for the creative artist, for sure. On the note of MTV, there are now 2 video channels showing AI videos on that are out there. I don't think they run full time yet, but they will eventually.
3 a.m. on like a.
It's like 9 or 10 at night. It starts up. Yeah, and they're interesting. I don't know if they're great yet, but a lot of videos now are based on AI, whether you see it or not. Yeah. Every stage of the production process and the creative production process has now, the things that we took for granted that were difficult may now be much easier. So you have any number of branches that'll come off for that in the future. So it's hard to say which ones are going to be followed and which ones are not. We're certainly going to see, now that we're kind of in AI generally, this is the age of agents, where people are developing agentic workflows, and there's more thoughts, not necessarily thought, but a lot of thought-like things happening with the AI agents, which will help the creative process as well. So you'll get more of being able to talk to the AI. There was an agent that was just demoed the other day, I think on Tim Simmons. Tim Simmons did this on his show. An agent that talks you through the entire process of developing a video. Now, how good is it? Probably not that great yet, but all these things improve, exponentially as time goes on. So, right now, it'll guide you through. Will it produce something good? We don't know, but you'll be able to talk to it, interact with it, and guide the process, and it will be able to help you guide the process. So you'll see a lot more of that agentic interaction when you're developing things. Right now, you have to do it manually, and it'll be more driven by the AI in the future. And hopefully that'll, expand the creative possibilities and not just let lazy people let the AI do everything.
And if we're talking about the future, if I take the liberty of going way into the future, we can't separate the creative AI stuff from AI in general. And the creative stuff is probably the easiest thing for the AI to do. And as we all know, it's starting to find uses in all kinds of other places. And I think very quickly our society is going to be transformed. I mean, this is, in my mind, and I've heard people who do TED Talks say this. So that's it's as world and society changing as electricity was, and then the arrival of the transistor, the computer, and then we had the whole digital revolution, which ultimately led to where we are with AI. I mean, or just think about when the internet came around or the iPhone came around. Just look at any one of those things with the iPhone. What we use the iPhone for now, we couldn't have imagined. We didn't really imagine when it first came out. So anyway, it's going to be integrated in society, in our lives, in a way that is going to be truly amazing. From the creative standpoint, if I hop back to my safer area there, I'm really excited to see if it brings us new forms of storytelling. Just to be experimental. And I when MTV came around, I remember that. It wasn't quite 50 years ago, but it is in the distant past. I only say that because I'm just over 50 years ago, and I was like, oh my God, it's not that old. I thought, oh wow, this is a whole new visual language, right? It was fast cutting, it was graphics, it was absurd uses of green screen. It did somewhat, but not tremendously. But anyway, AI is way more powerful than that because it literally is it can be the structure of storytelling. So I'm really when we talked about soon you'll be able to you'll prompt the AI and it'll make a 90-minute movie. I'm much more interested to see it. Just go for it. Don't listen to it. Don't forget the hero's journey. Forget 3-act structure. Just show me something new. Take some character and really run with the backstory of that character and then create a new movie. I mean, that's just going to be kind of fun to play with.
Yeah, I think we'll see multiple visual languages and different ones coming out in all sorts of different contexts.
One thing I wanted to add too is I think you'll see more, studios of one. Like, I already see it happening, and I do experience this a lot in terms of the kind of work that I get in terms of outreach, where, in the past when I was working as a creative director in advertising, I would work at an agency. Sometimes I would have a partner. We'd hire a production studio, director, all of this kind of like lots of people. And I don't mean this to scare people, but I just mean more of like it's an opportunity for you to take the tools and learn these processes, and you could actually start to create work for yourself as your own brand. Creating short stories, creating short commercials, even product photography. There's just so much out there that you can do if you have a really unique point of view, really good taste. There's just an opportunity there for people who are interested in creating those kind of workflows as a solo person. That does exist.
And it can help in that, because I do largely solo work, although with small teams too. It can help you, if you're building your own business, your own production company, whatever, it can help you with parts of the business side, or any aspect of the creative process that you're not familiar with or you're not comfortable with. So you can learn, right? You can ask it questions, you can learn, and then it can also run, and we're getting to the point where we'll have more agents, more programs that it can run, but it'll be able to do things like find places for you to advertise, find places for you to upload your video so that more and more people can see it. It'll help you track, comments, and anyway, it can do all kinds of stuff that it would be difficult for you to do as a solo person before.
Yeah, I have to say I still prefer human collaboration instead of being solo. Like a lot of things that we work on benefit from the fact that some people have the director talent and know how to direct a scene and come at it from that angle. Some people know how to edit, and some are just pure artists who know how to draw things and have the conception in their head. There's still all that in our production workflow, and in a larger workflow, studio-oriented larger workflow, you have input from a number of people. And there'll be more input from AI as well, But at least for the moment, the human collaboration, definitely I prefer it.
Human-based mixture of experts. Right.
And this is something that I'm realizing as you guys are talking about agents. You can train your own over time to have a sense of what you like or your taste or your, right, the way that you like information packaged.
Yes.
So the more time you spend with it, right, it doesn't become autonomous, but the easier you're building a relationship with it, right, in a way.
Yeah, it's like a shorthand
Yeah.
of your likes, dislikes, preferences, even your like tone, language, how you speak to it, and how it writes back.
It's very technology dependent, and that's also something that improves all the time. So what you have today, it may not be as deep as you like, it's not as deep as I like, but it's gotten so much more deeper and will continue to have a deeper relationship with its operator going into the future. So you'll get a lot of benefit from that.
And just one quick route to that, just one little pro tip for people is if suppose you wanted to write emails like you, that's something a lot of people do. They wanted to write emails and then they're like, well, that doesn't sound like me at all, or that's horrible. You can just you can upload examples or just say, here's 4, you don't have to do a lot, 4 or 5 emails that I've written, write something in that style. It'll get pretty close right away.
That reminds me, this is more a negative thing, but about 10 years ago, I read this science fiction story, not very well written, but the concept was good, where it was basically just an email system that would write your emails for you, but it was, which is great, but it was biased, so it would introduce things into the email for subtle effects, and eventually, world domination and all that stuff. And I thought at the time, no one's going to actually do that at a government level, and no one's going to actually put that in charge at a government level. I was wrong.